My child is biting someone again. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. If you've ever thought this, in the car on the way home from daycare, or lying awake at night replaying what happened, this video is for you. You are not alone in this, and it is not your fault. In this video, I want to show you what is actually happening when your child bites, not the behavior on the surface, the reason behind it, because when you understand the why, you can finally respond in a way that actually works, for your child and for you. When your child bites a friend, a sibling, even you, it sets off a wave of intense feelings: shock, shame, helplessness, and the quiet question that keeps parents awake at night: what am I doing wrong? I have sat across from hundreds of parents in 30 years. Parents who are loving, patient, thoughtful, and completely lost in this moment. And my answer, after 30 years working with young children every single day, is always the same. Nothing. Truly, nothing. You are not failing your child. You are not missing something obvious. Your child is not broken. You are in the middle of something normal, something almost every parent of a young child goes through. And today, I am going to walk you through it, step by step. Children bite not because they are bad, naughty, or aggressive. They bite because they don't yet have enough words to say what is happening inside them. Think about it from your child's perspective. Something overwhelming has happened. Too much stimulation, too much frustration, too much want, too little control. And the words, the right words, simply aren't there yet. A bite is a shortcut. It says, I don't know how to express this. My body reacted before my brain could find the language. This is what I call language before language. A release of tension that the child cannot yet process in any other way. And I want you to hear this clearly. It is not a character flaw. It is not a sign of how your child will be at 5, or at 10, or as an adult. It is a developmental phase. Uncomfortable, yes. Worrying, yes. But a phase. And with patience, with the right response, and with time, it is a phase that passes. Every single time. I have never seen it not pass. Now, let's look at biting by age, because what is happening in a baby at 10 months is very different from what is happening in a 3-year-old. Understanding the difference will completely change how you respond and how you feel about what's happening. For babies between 0 and 1 year, biting is a completely natural part of development. The mouth, at this age, is the primary sensor. Babies explore textures, shapes, temperatures, and the world through their mouths. They put everything in their mouths, not to hurt, but to gather information, to understand. Your baby does not bite because they want to hurt you. They bite because their mouth tells them more than their hands can yet. At this age, biting is a developmental milestone, not aggression, not naughtiness, not something you have caused. When a nursing baby bites, they are often experimenting. They felt something change in your tension, your breathing, and they responded to that. It is a moment of communication, not an act of defiance. The most effective response at this age? A calm, clear signal. A gentle but firm no. No drama, no anger, no long explanation. Just a clear, consistent message. And a moment of interrupted contact, so they understand the consequence. And it will pass. As soon as their hands become stronger, as soon as they have more ways to explore and communicate, the biting fades naturally. Your only job in this phase is to stay calm and respond consistently. Nothing more than that. The toddler years, and I mean truly the period between 1 and 2, are intense for the child and for the parent. Your child is in the middle of one of the most dramatic developmental leaps of their entire life. They are discovering their own strength, their own will, their sense of self. the first real awareness that they are a separate person with their own desires, their own opinions, their own idea of how things should go. They feel more than they ever have. They want more. They notice everything. But the words to explain any of it, are not there yet. Or they are there for simple things, but not for the big, overwhelming things. That is precisely why biting is so common between 1 and 2. It is frustration they cannot name. It is the first, clumsy, inefficient attempt at social interaction, at saying "I want that," or "stop," or "I am completely overwhelmed right now, and I don't know what to do with that." And here is the thing about impulse control at this age. It doesn't work yet. Not reliably. An 18-month-old who bites doesn't have a plan. They don't think, "I will bite now to get what I want." The impulse comes, the body reacts, and the thought follows after, if it comes at all. Adults use sentences. Toddlers at this age use their bodies. So when your child bites in this period, your response shouldn't be to explain or reason or punish. It should be to set a clear, calm boundary, name the feeling for them. You wanted that toy, you got frustrated, and redirect. Short, calm, consistent, repeated as many times as needed. That is what works at this age. Not because it's easy, because it's what their brain can actually absorb. By 3 or 4, children have language. And this is exactly what makes biting at this age so confusing for parents. Adults think, but they can talk now. They know better. Why would they still bite? Here is the answer. And I want you to really hear this. Speaking and emotional regulation are 2 completely different skills. And they develop at completely different speeds. A 3-year-old may be able to tell you a beautiful, detailed story about their day at breakfast. And then, 30 minutes later, when a playmate grabs their toy at the park, the words are gone. Not because they don't exist, but because in a moment of intense emotion, under real pressure, access to language breaks down. It happens to adults too. We simply have 30 more years of practice at recovering it. There is another layer at 3 and 4 that I see very often. Your child may have learned through experience that biting works. It stops the other child immediately. It brings attention, fast, intense attention. It resolves the situation, even if the resolution is being removed from the room. And children need connection above almost everything else. Even negative attention is still attention. Even being separated is still a response. So at this age, your response needs to be a little more deliberate. Not more harsh, more intentional. Name the feeling clearly. Then offer the words they need for next time. When you want the toy back, you can say, "Can I have it, please?" Practice it when things are calm, not in the heat of the moment. And pay attention to patterns. Is it happening at a particular time of day, in a particular place, with a particular child? Because at 3 and 4, there is almost always a pattern underneath, and finding it is often the key to stopping it. Now let's talk about what to actually do, step by step, in the moment, calmly and clearly, because knowing why your child bites is only half of it. The other half is knowing exactly how to respond when it happens. So, what do you actually do when your child bites? Here are 5 steps that work, whether your child is 1 year old or 4. I have used these in nurseries for 30 years. I have taught them to hundreds of parents. They work because they are consistent, calm, and grounded in how children actually develop. Step 1. Respond at once, but stay calm. Move the child gently but immediately. Lift them, sit them to the side. Create a physical separation. Look them in the eye. Say clearly, "No, biting hurts." Not a lecture. Not a long explanation. One clear message, delivered calmly. Step 2. Redirect immediately. Offer something safe for their hands and mouth. A chew toy, a cushion, something with texture. The energy behind the bite still needs somewhere to go. Give it a place. Step 3. Name the feeling. You didn't like that. You wanted that toy. You got so frustrated. This gives your child the exact vocabulary they are missing. They cannot learn new words in a moment of high emotion, but they hear them and they store them. Over time, those words become their first option instead of the bite. Step 4. Set a simple, clear boundary every single time, without exception. You may not bite. It hurts. Short, calm. The same words every time. Consistency is what teaches, not severity. And step 5, the one parents often struggle with most: no punishment, no shame. Punishing a child for a behavior they don't yet have the tools to control doesn't teach them what to do instead. It adds shame and confusion on top of an already overwhelmed nervous system. Boundaries work because they are clear and consistent, not because they are harsh or frightening. Here are the exact phrases that work, tested in nurseries and living rooms over 30 years. Short, clear, repeated, no, biting hurts. You didn't like that. You wanted that toy. You were angry. That's okay. Biting is not okay. You may not bite. It hurts. Next time you can say, stop, or you can come and find me. And perhaps the most important phrase of all, the one that changes the temperature of the whole moment. I see this is a lot for you right now. I'm here. Because what a child in emotional overwhelm needs first is to feel that they are not alone in it. Then, and only then, they can hear the boundary. Long explanations do not work in the heat of the moment. Your child cannot process complex language when their nervous system is flooded. Short, calm, repeated. That is not laziness. That is exactly what the science tells us works. Now let's look at something that parents often miss completely: the hidden triggers. The things happening beneath the surface in your child's life that are building toward a bite, sometimes days before it actually happens. Sometimes parents tell me their child started biting completely out of nowhere. One day they were fine, the next, biting every day at daycare. But nothing comes out of nowhere. Beneath every sudden bite, your child may be carrying something: tension, change, strong emotions, frustration, uncertainty. A quiet kind of inner chaos that they have no words for, and no way to process except through their body. The most common triggers I see, after 30 years, are these. A new sibling. The arrival of a baby in the family is one of the biggest disruptions a young child can experience, and they often cannot tell you how it feels. So they show you. And biting is sometimes how they show you. A new daycare or classroom. Adjusting to a new environment, new caregivers, new social rules. This is enormous work for a small child. The nervous system is stretched, and a stretched nervous system is far more likely to overflow. Moving house, new sounds, new smells, new routines. Even positive change is still change, and change costs children something. Tiredness. This one is underestimated more than almost anything else. A child who is overtired is a child whose emotional resources are already depleted. The smallest frustration can tip them over, and any significant disruption to routine, a parent traveling, a grandparent visiting for a week, a holiday, even a change in pickup time, can quietly build pressure that eventually finds its way out. I have seen biting appear in the first weeks of daycare every single year for 30 years. It is almost never a sign of a problem. It is almost always a sign of transition. When you find the trigger, and there is almost always one, the biting usually begins to settle on its own. You don't need to fix the child. You need to find what they're carrying. Biting is not a character. It is a stage. It is a gap in skill, not a flaw in who your child is, not a prediction of who they will become. Every child I have worked with who bit, and there have been hundreds over 30 years, grew out of it, with calm guidance, with clear boundaries, with a little patience, every single one. Some took a few weeks, some took a few months, but I have never once seen a child who was given consistent, calm responses continue biting indefinitely. It stops. Always. You are not alone in this. And it is not your fault. Your child does not need a perfect parent. They need a present one who stays calm in the hard moment, even when it doesn't feel possible. One who sets the boundary quietly, without shame. One who comes back afterwards, when things are calm, and says, "I love you," even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. That is enough, more than enough. If this video helped you, I have put everything I know about biting into a complete illustrated guide, with scripts for the hardest moments, with explanations by age, with exactly what to say and what to avoid. The link is in the description below. I'm glad you found your way here today. You are doing better than you think.